The member for Wright.
I rise to speak on a bill to act to amend the Auditor-General's Act 1997, the Auditor-General's Amendment Bill 2011. Madam Deputy Speaker, the Coalition's main concern is that the independent contractors would be subjected to auditors from the Auditor-General if they receive government contracts. This would create an extra layer of bureaucracy and increase costs and convince many smaller contractors not to bid for contracts due to extra regulatory requirements. The Coalition should therefore pose that Private Members' Bill be amended to remove the provision that contractors could be audited. The Coalition's policy to create an Office of Due Diligence to avoid the waste in the first place rather than report on it after the event. While the Coalition may support the intent of this legislation, it recommends that we oppose the bill for the following reasons. Firstly, the increase in regulatory burden. The bill would require any supplier to government agencies to be prepared to undergo a full investigation by the Auditor-General at any time. This would place added cost and compliance burdens on business. And being a small business owner myself, before coming to this place, I am very in tune with the amount of compliance that is already in place for small businesses up to 100 staff. Yet more government intervention. Under Labor, we have seen the greatest growth of government in our lives in memory. If supported, this bill would further increase that burden on any business doing its work with government. And I also draw the Madam Deputy's attention to the increase in bureaucracy since this Labor government has come to power. I believe since 2007 we have seen an increase in the public service here in Canberra alone to well more than 22,000 additional staff. It also creates an impediment for doing business with government. With this level of scrutiny and intrusion, many businesses, especially the smaller and medium-sized businesses, may choose not to do business with a government agency. Therefore, only the biggest companies with the resources available to them would be prepared to comply with an Auditor-General's investigation, may be willing to tender for contracts under these circumstances. It would lead to greater cost for government services. For a bill that purports to be protecting taxpayers' value and ensuring value for money, there is no doubt that the level of compliance required creates the very real possibility that tender prices would have to increase to cover the potential audit requirements. It chases waste of taxpayers' money after that event. Instead of putting better prevention systems in place to reduce the likelihood of waste, this bill speaks to enhance the powers of the Auditor-General to investigate after the horse has bolted. I also now want to speak to the establishment of a due diligence office, which goes under the Coalition. Every new major government spending program will be properly assessed for its capacity for waste, abuse and mismanagement before it commences. We want to preempt problems, not mop them up afterwards. Central to our strong approach on stopping the waste will be the establishment of an Office of Due Diligence within the Department of Prime Minister and Cabinet, Prime Ministers in Cabinet. The Office of Due Diligence will comprise officials, second from the Australian National Audit Office and the Commonwealth Ombudsman, as well as people with private sector contract expertise. The role of the Office Due Diligence will be to examine programs before they are approved by Cabinet to ensure that each project is efficiently designed, has a detailed implementation plan and will be implemented in a manner that provides maximum value for the taxpayer. Madam Deputy Chairman, we have great confidence in the Auditor-General, and however, we do have concerns with his role in assessing private contractors. A previous speaker earlier raised the point of the Area Consultative Committee and that there was a bias towards Coalition seats. I was involved in a community that was a recipient of federal government grants that come through the Area Consultative Committee. And I can assure this room that from a regional perspective, it was one of the few areas for regional Australia, and the member raising the point is a strong advocate of regional Australia, and I can assure you that it was one of the few areas where we could actually get some support. It was also mentioned about the value for money, and I think that this particular bill is potentially hypocritical. When we talk about value, well, the government speaks about value for money when we only have to look as far as the NBN or possibly the BER for situations which are rather embarrassing to this House. Thank you, Madam Deputy Chair.